pilots.
Copy, Bandit, 801, arm hot, start to fire. Fox 2. Ah, shoot, back. Not bad.
At Tyndall Air Force Base near Panama City, Florida, dozens of fighter pilots from all over the United States and Canada gather for weapons evaluation and tactical training. They're here to test new missiles and practice air-to-air combat with their squadrons, using remote-controlled F-4 Phantom drones as the target. "17-year Air Force veteran Lieutenant Colonel Ron Stuff Miller will command an unmanned enemy in a fight with a team of 6 fighter pilots. And he knows how to tell a drone from a regular F-4.
The white container you see on the left wingtip is one on the right wing, one up on the tail, and one down the nose. Those are some of the subtle cues that it's a remote aircraft.
Using these sensors, strategists can remotely monitor an aircraft under attack and assess missile performance based on that information.
Well, those white antennas provide us a method of scoring the aircraft. What that means is when a missile is shot at the aircraft, it helps determine how close that missile came to the aircraft, the speed, angle, trajectory, all that type stuff. Looks good, looks like an F-4. It helps us analyze post-mission how well we did or did not do with the missile.
Airspeed indication.
A retired F-4 Phantom costs about $2.5 million to convert to a target drone.
31 left, wind 220 at 14, clear for takeoff.
With such a high price tag, Lieutenant Colonel Miller hopes to avoid shooting the F-4 target out of the sky. But in a dogfight, there's no guarantee. Day 2 of the F-4 Phantom breakdown in Germany. The jet arrives at its new hangar. In a matter of weeks, the crew will reduce this once mighty fighter to scrap. But before the breakdown kicks into high gear, a crew needs to put the F-4's flight controls and landing mechanisms through strenuous testing to determine which parts can be recycled and which parts will have to be scrapped. Captain Nastula knows that the smallest damage or leak could cause critical systems failure in the air, a risk he's not willing to take.
It's immensely important to ensure that these devices that are to fly again or to be installed in another aircraft are 100% functional. Only then can we send them back into rotation with a clear conscience.
First up, the landing gear.
Okay, wings next.
And lastly, the stabilizer and rudder.
You can turn off hydraulics, and then we go over to the next step.
The jet's hydraulics get a passing grade.
Okay, danke.
The safety check is complete. They've got a gold mine of recyclable parts. But before they get to those components, there's one more critical stage of the breakdown: disarming. The F-4 Phantom is one mean fighting machine. Every Phantom is equipped with 9 weapon stations. Fully loaded, the jet can carry up to 8 tons of ammunition, including air-to-air and air-to-ground missiles and nuclear bombs. The military has already removed the heavy hitters, but one.
We have one cannon, one Vulcan 20mm Gatling gun. We have it in the front of the plane. The cannon can fire 6,000 rounds per minute. That means 100 rounds per second. And it's for our self-defense, so that we could protect ourselves in case we are in a close-in fight with an enemy fighter.
But the cannon is one piece that won't end up in the recycling bin. If it ended up in the wrong hands, it could reappear illegally on the black market.
It will be carefully removed by a technician, going to be destroyed so nobody can use it again.
It's a job that calls for a weapons expert. Corporal Andre Sonnenberg. At 23, he's one of the youngest mechanics on the base, but he's an old pro when it comes to cannon removal. This cannon is a so-called Gatling gun. Each of the cannon's 6 barrels fires once during each revolution of the barrel cluster. This adds up to 100 rounds per second. Such rapid fire is necessary in combat between supersonic aircraft because a target may only be in gun sight for a second or less at a time.
I'll have to disconnect this plug to cut electricity from the cannon so nothing can happen anymore.
Und da jetzt nichts mehr mit passieren kann.
It's deactivated now.
First, he mounts a set of safety trestles for support. At 308 kilograms, it could seriously injure him if it came crashing down.
I can monitor and control where the arm must go in order to be able to mount the cannon on the stand.
Corporal Sonnenberg now eases the weapon out of its station.
With this wheel here, I will drive this rod up and down so that I can make a correction if it doesn't fit with the arm.
If the cannon jerks too wildly, it could fall off the support trestles. The cannon's free. Now he's got to break it down to dispose of it safely. Then welder Uwe Chablewski takes over. He sears through the cannon's steel parts with a blowtorch. When the job's done, this once powerful weapon is nothing more than a harmless pile of metal. At last, the breakdown crew can get to the critical components and ultimately the mother lode, the 2-ton engines. The crew will remove the ejection seats, the canopies, the landing gear, the engines, the wings, dozens of instruments and electronics, and kilometers of wiring. At the end, only the airframe will remain.
Kommt ihr mal kurz zum Briefing?
Individual teams specialize in the dismantling of different parts of the plane. Over the course of the next 2 months, they'll each take a turn making mincemeat out of the Phantom. First on deck, the ejection seat. The ejection seat is there to save lives. But if something goes wrong, it can be the most dangerous step of the breakdown.
We have rockets that eject the seat from the plane. If they would explode on the ground, they could seriously injure the technicians that are near the airplane.
This is why ejection seat removal is a job for highly trained specialists. The ejection seat of an F-4 Phantom is powered by a rocket package that can shoot a pilot to safety in an emergency situation. Deactivating the rockets for breakdown is tricky and potentially hazardous. Technicians must remove a small firing mechanism, a 5-centimeter rocket propulsion cartridge buried beneath the ejection seat, without accidentally triggering the rockets. First Sergeant Michael Horn leads the two-man crew. A 25-year Air Force veteran, he's known for being cool under pressure. At his side is mechanic Jürgen Bruning.
We climb on the aircraft, we open the canopy, and we secure the canopy so that nothing can fall on us.
Now comes the tough part.
Next, we'll have to discharge the rocket propulsion packs.
First Sergeant Horn can barely see what he's doing. He must feel his way to the cartridge without activating the rockets. A wrong move could severely injure them both.
The ejection seat cartridge is right under here where I'm working now. And right here is the ammunition. I'm about to disarm it. All right, here's the ammunition. Now the seat can't eject anymore.
With the rocket disarmed, they can now do what they do best: break it down. They must carefully remove each part of the ejection seat so that it can be reassembled in an active Phantom. First, they remove the parachute.
It's all sealed in this container here. We don't really touch it.
Then they remove the flotation device.